Hello, ladies and gents. I realize it has been a very, very long time since I got this, the KNK Force. And I have to apologize because I know that some of you have given up hope on me ever reviewing or talking about it. And to make my excuses summed up, we've been having a lot of technical difficulties, and my husband has been ill, and it's just been a lot of stuff. And I just, to show you one of the technical difficulties that actually has held me back. Literally, I was not able to go any further. That is my Artisan 1430 that I got to use all the 4 times. We can't get it running, and we cannot find anybody willing to fix it. So I have been at a standstill because, as you know, I got the KNK Force for the sole purpose of print and cut. And today we decided that we would come hell or high water, we were going to print and cut, by God. So we turned to the laser printer. The reason why this is a big deal is because, you see, for what I print and cut, I need an inkjet, which is the broken printer on the table. But for now, because I'm just days away from another convention, and I'll let you see that while I grab a piece of paper to set it to go. And I got to do things, I've decided that I needed some jewelry backs because I've been making some charms by hand. And so, as you can see, I've got a nice, lovely print file of jewelry backs, and we are going to walk through me doing a print and cut with the KNK Force in Sure Cuts a Lot 4. The most latest, by the way, we just updated it today. So, I've got my print file here. Now you can see I've got it at 15 by 15. And there's a couple of things I discovered really quick with this that didn't seem to be in any of the tutorials. First off, when you print, obviously my printer can only do 8.5 by 11. And to be able to do that, that means that I have to have my print area up here. I cannot try to print on here and expect it to be on the paper. It's got to be where, if I change this to 8.5 by 11, it'll be on an 8.5 by 11 sheet. So I set the file up on the 8.5 by 11 sheet, and when it was set, and I had done a preview to test that the print margins right here, because it will automatically do the print things for me, or where I had them. Then I changed to the KNK Force. It doesn't matter, by the way. I just like having that there so I know what's going on. So now that I'm ready, I'm hitting cutter. And I've got, okay, I'm going to change my cutting depth to 75 because at 78 with the last cut, it cut into my mat and I didn't like that. Everything else looks good. What's really cool about this so far is that they have presets in here. And it's like the makers of KNK heard my wails of sorrow, and actually they put in right here, you can see it, a Shrinky Dink setting. That's pretty awesome. So now I'm going to tell it print and cut. And from this menu, you can calibrate your camera. And this is where we're going to have some problems. Because when you hit calibrate camera, you're basically going to do it manually. And it's got these little things here. And I tried doing it, but I can't. And I'm going to show you why. But I'm ready to go. So print. Looks good. I've made sure I've got print registration mark set. Now we're going to turn to the star of the show, the printer. Finally it goes. Baby. Okay. Now that I have this, and here it is, and here are my registration marks. It's kind of like some other cutters out there that I had less than good things to say about. Hard to do this one-handed, but I shall manage. So now I will lay this on the mat. And And what I'm going to do is try to make it as neat and straight as possible, just like I've always done before. One-handed, it's a bit of a challenge. Now, I've only been using this mat for the first time today, and the first thing I note is it's not very sticky. I have to really push and prod and pry and beg the paper to stay. And now, on some respects, that's really great because I don't have to do a whole lot of peeling like with other mats, so I'm not completely complaining. This is easier for me to figure out a workaround than, say, other mats where the paper's stuck permanently and I just had to write it off. So I have it on as neat and straight with the grid as I can. So next step is for me to load it. Now, they're saying load it here, load it there, whatever. What I've discovered is when I load it and I get it to go, maybe it's because it sure cuts a lot, but if it's loaded in the front, it'll just spit it back out. So I've been loading it in the back, and I have no idea if you're able to see what I'm doing, because, you know, I'm doing all this shit one-handed. Okay. So we're going to get this as even as straight as possible, just like before. I have it as even as straight as possible, and I'm holding it. So to tighten it, you just flick these down. And then I double check to make sure it stayed even and straight. And I used the metal as a guideline. All right. So everything is even and straight and nice looking. So now I'm going to go back to Chakret's a lot and my dialogue, and I'm going to hit next. And immediately it went to go find the thing, and now I've got to move this over. Now I'm a little disappointed by this too, and this is nothing against the KNK Force. This is just me hyping myself up, and I thought the camera was going to be in real time, and it's not. We originally had the cutter in the other room, and I thought that I would be able to do things remotely. No, you get this, and you want the blade's leading edge over the first mark up in that corner, and then you come back here, you hit next, and see how it's got that upside down? That's wrong. So I'm going to try again. This time it got it right. And now I know that, judging by the line I saw, I've got to go up a little bit. But it's got to catch up to me. And that means I got to hit previous. And then 1, 2, 3 maybe. And this is the process to get the camera to find the mark. Oh, it doesn't know what it's doing, does it, today? Because, you know, I've got to rush. Okay, so this time, and I'm going to double check because it likes to make mistakes. This is where it's at. You notice how it changed the second time? And I don't know if everybody's having that problem, but I'm having that problem. So now I go to the second mark. And I'll go ahead and see where the camera thinks it's at, which means I've got to do that. And then previous. And then again. And then previous because it's still stuck. And that's where it thinks it's at, but I'm going to double check. It just doesn't seem to know what it's looking at. I think that's what it is. So now I just gotta wait. You have to wait a second each time for it to catch up, which is a little obnoxious. But I understand it's going through our Wi-Fi connection, and just don't get me started on our server. Now that was it freaking out because I told it to do, yeah. Okay. Okay, here we go. We're cutting. Hopefully, really quick though, it cuts crooked. It cuts crooked, and it doesn't matter how straight I do it or how careful I am with the corners, which you saw how I had to fight. It cuts crooked, and you can't calibrate that. So my thought on the KNK Force, because I saw an old February post like a couple months ago, they're still having problems with print and cut, and that's just very disappointing. But I'm only just learning this like within a few hours, so I'm disheartened but not ready to give a review. It could be fixed for all I know, but as you can see, it's actually a lot more on point this time than last time. It's been crooked all the other times, so my insistence on flipping back and forth constantly for the camera seems to have made some difference. But as you can see, we have a print and cut. So in my case, I think it's going to be a learning experience on top of everything. But I do have to say though that going through the Wi-Fi, the way I'm having to do to communicate to the cutter for just the camera shots, because I have to hit back and forth several times to get the camera shot to update so that I can figure out what I'm doing. That is definitely a big drawback. But it cuts really nice. Look at it go. And this is a nice cut, and I've got it on paper setting, and but I'm not ready to give a review yet. I just thought you guys, deserve to see what's going on. Okay, one last bit I have to show you. It started on point, kind of. Didn't even cut that one. And then it just starts slipping and going crooked, and it gets further up. Now here I had to push the paper back down, but even after I got the paper back on point and down, it just goes further up. You can't calibrate that. You cannot calibrate that. It's too soon to say, oh, it's the cutter. I wish they would hurry up and get print and cut fixed. But you got to admit, that's a far cry from reasonably on point to that. It's insane. I'm a little frustrated at this time because I have days until another convention, and I really need these things, and I cannot make them, and it's literally going to be faster for me to just freaking take a pair of scissors and print some stickers and punch holes and cut cardstock. Be less drama too. So I'm frustrated, but I also know that it's too soon. I'll be getting a hold of the company tomorrow, and hopefully they can help us out. Now I'm done.